Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said on Sunday that he doesn't recognize U.S. aid as Ukraine's debt and is not signing something that will be paid off by 10 generations of Ukrainians. "We must not recognize grants as debts, whether someone likes it or not," said Zelensky. According to Assosicted Press, his comments come as Zelensky and other officials were participating in a forum in Kiev where discussions on the state of the country are expected, a day before the war with Russia reaches its 3-year mark. The forum comes at a sensitive moment for Kiev as Trump's administration pushes Ukraine's leaders to agree to a deal that would allow the U.S. to access Ukrainian rare earth minerals, a proposal Zelensky earlier declined to accept because it lacked specific security guarantees. The UK on Sunday said it would announce new sanctions on Russia as it tries to stiffen Western support for Ukraine. The sanctions package coming Monday will be the biggest imposed by Britain since the early days of the war, Foreign Secretary David Lammy said, adding that they would be aimed at eroding Russia's military machine and reducing revenues fueling the fires of destruction in Ukraine. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron will make tag-team visits to Washington this week as Europe attempts to persuade Trump not to abandon Ukraine in pursuit of a peace deal.
Ми отримали першу угоду, в якій не було гарантій безпеки, і тут немає ніякого скандалу, просто вона не відповідає запиту. Тобто питання про те, що давайте 50/50 все ділити. Приблизно так перша угода виглядала. Я сказав, що я не піду на це і не дам міністрам підписати це. Елемент. В моєму житті було кілька угод, я вам скажу. І я не збираюсь визнавати 500. Хто б що не говорив, як би ми не спілкувалися, при всій повазі, ще раз, при всій повазі до партнерів, але, я стійко стою, тому що це правдива ситуація, абсолютно ми праві. І друга ситуація, якщо чесно, навіть 100 мільярдів я не готовий фіксувати. Поясню чому. Тому що ми не маємо визнавати гранти як борги. Подобається це чи не подобається? Там є 1 до 2 такий елемент. Я дійсно його... Я домовлявся з Байденом і домовлявся з Конгресом Сполучених Штатів Америки. Я вдячен Конгресу. Це була присутність 2 партій і підтримка грантів. Грант – то не є борг. І ми не потрібні віддавати борг. Може, це не подобається і це несправедливо? Може, я не знаю. Але це і є угода, яка була раніше. Це грант. Тобто, питання не в цифрі. Питання в тому, що ми не визнаємо, що це борг. У мене питання. Тобто, я повертаю 50 і плюс 50, так? Якщо це вимушено, і нам зараз, і ми без цього не можемо, напевно, ми на це повинні йти. Але у мене питання, скажіть логічне, і мені на нього ніхто не може відповісти. Коли Сполучені Штати Америки продають зброю Ізраїлю, Катару, Саудівській Аравії, Об'єднаним Арабським Еміратам, чи вони заробляють 100%? Все нормально. Я просто хочу діалогу з президентом Трампом. Мені здається, я справедлив в тому, що я хочу діалогу. Я не підписую те, що будуть виплачувати 10 поколінь українців. Сваритися нам потрібно бути дружніми, але все одно і кожен з нас...
Thousands of people waving blue and yellow Ukrainian flags marched to the Russian embassy in London on Saturday, demanding Ukraine be given more support and a place at the table in talks to end the 3-year war. According to Assosicted Press, organizers called for the withdrawal of Russian troops and increased military aid to strengthen Kyiv's hand. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is due to visit Washington next week for talks focused on Ukraine. He has stressed that no decisions about the country's future can be made without Kyiv's involvement.
other people too. We won't be silent. 3. Stop the Russians. Down, down.
Russian dictator Vladimir Putin has not given up on the idea of installing a puppet government in Ukraine. He would prefer to end the war against the Ukrainian state in the same way he did in Chechnya, when he persuaded warlord Ahmad Kadirov to defect to his side and take control of the embattled region. The Financial Times reports, citing a source who discussed the war with Putin late last year. The article states that after 3 years of full-scale invasion, the Kremlin dictator has not backed down from his tough demands, which threaten to destroy the current European security architecture and effectively turn Ukraine into a failed state. According to observers, US President Donald Trump openly sided with the aggressor country by proposing to hold talks in Riyadh with representatives of the Russian Federation while excluding the participation of Kyiv and its European allies. During these talks, Trump accepted many of the Kremlin's theses. US officials added that the Saudi talks were meant to be an attempt to gauge Russia's readiness to end the war, but the US did not want the process to drag on while the Kremlin continued to wage war. Journalists point out that the American side did not report what concessions the Russian dictator might make in exchange for the fact that the Trump administration has already ruled out the possibility of Ukraine's membership in NATO or the return of Ukrainian territories under occupation. According to a former senior Kremlin official, Putin may make tougher demands in potential talks than he did in the spring of 2022, when he insisted on Ukraine not joining the North Atlantic Alliance and reducing the Ukrainian army. The Trump administration's actions have been criticized in Europe. European officials are shocked by the US's intentions to normalize relations with Russia, especially after the US president's representatives said the US security guarantees are not forever, and that Russia is no longer an existential threat to Europe. A European official who spoke to reporters stressed that given the failures of past attempts to reset relations with Moscow, Europe does not trust Russia. We need to continue to apply economic and military pressure, he added.